A new study out shows that 56% of white liberal women have a mental disorder. I kid you not. In this video, we're going to take a look at that study. We're going to find how it mirrors a number of other studies that have found that conservatives are far happier than liberals. And stick with me to the very end of this video when I'll reveal to you precisely why we conservatives are far more mentally and emotionally sound than leftist liberals. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve with you. Great to be with you as always. I am your daily fake news antidote. As each and every day, I provide patriotic analysis to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times, and I keep you sane in the process. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we begin, let me ask you, patriots out there, do you want to help change America? Well, if you're a patriot, I know the answer. I know you do. We are so excited to announce that we are soon launching a new opportunity for patriots to join our fight for freedom all across our nation, indeed throughout the world. Now, next week, I'm going to be revealing how we can come together and fight tyranny like never before. I mean, this is an opportunity for anyone and everyone. It doesn't matter your age, your abilities, your financial situation. And there's going to be a special bonus I'll be sharing about as well. But you got to stay tuned. I cannot wait to tell you about this next week. And without further ado, let's dive right in here. This is just too good. We've all, of course, openly wondered whether woke leftist liberals were really actually insane. In other words, the only way we can make sense of their worldview, right, is by being generous, right? Apart from them being pure evil, the only other way of explaining their worldview is that they're frankly nuts. They're mad. They're psycho, right? Well, now it turns out that the social sciences are coming out and saying, well, we were basically right all along. According to an epic study conducted by Pew Research, I kid you not, the majority, a clear majority of left-wing white women do indeed have mental disorders. That's right. Turns out that Karens really are cuckoo. They really are crazy. Pew conducted the study last year to determine the psychological effects of the COVID lockdowns. And my, oh my, did they find some very interesting data. The report from Evie magazine sums it up well. Quote, the study, which examined white liberals, moderates, and conservatives, both male and female, found that conservatives were far less likely to be diagnosed with mental health issues than those who identified as either liberal or even very liberal. Now, what's more, white women suffered the worst of all. White women ages 18 to 29 who identified as liberal were given a mental health diagnosis from medical professionals at a rate of 56%, as compared to 28.4% to moderates and 27.3% in conservatives. So the upshot here is that 56% of white liberal women have real bona fide mental issues. Now, keep in mind, white liberal women are becoming rarer and rarer as we speak, okay? Remember, according to the mainstream media, white women are now the new evil. They are the evil voting bloc that's propelling Republicans to victory, like we saw in Virginia a few weeks back. The Philadelphia Inquirer recently published a report excoriating this exit polling that found an astonishing 75% of white women without college degrees voted for the Republican Glenn Youngkin in Virginia. And not just Youngkin, but Winsome Sears for lieutenant governor, for their Republican attorney general. 75% of white women without college degrees. All right, they are fast becoming recognized as the new political subject. They are in the political driver's seat for elections for this foreseeable future. White women without college degrees voting Republican. So white liberal women are decreasing. And perhaps it has something to do with their inordinate propensity towards, well, mental illness. Again, 56% were diagnosed with some form of mental health condition. And I was particularly struck by a Twitter thread on this study when it first came out last year by a PhD student who tweeted out this, quote, I didn't write this thread to mock white liberals or their apparently disproportionate rates of mental illness, and you shouldn't either. I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. I'll be good. We don't want to mock or ridicule. That's correct. Sorry. Rather, this is a question that's underexplored and which may shed light on attitudinal differences. What a freaking fake academic. May shed light on attitudinal differences towards various social policies. Well, yes, it may, oh PhD student. It may shed light on how people who are relatively sane see politics rather differently than those who are basically nuts. What a surprise! Thank heavens we've got academics. Now, the truth is, these findings from this Pew study are not out of the ordinary. At the political level, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Polish psychologist Andrew Lobachevsky, okay? He's been studying the Marxist elite for 40 years now in a field of study he engineered called political ponerology. Ponerology comes from the Greek poneros, which means evil. So it's a study of political evil. And this fellow Lobachevsky concluded that all of these leftist Marxists really are psychopaths. And when the world is run politically by a bunch of psychopaths, the world becomes hysterical. I mean, it literally becomes insane. And so we've actually had critical studies of far leftists like Lobachevsky's come to even more dramatic conclusions than mere mental illness. I mean, he really believed these people were psychopaths. But at the more popular level, we've had studies such as the one from the University of Southern California, combined study with California and the University of Utah, that found that conservatives are far happier, far more satisfied, and have greater purpose in life than their liberal counterparts. And it was a very, very significant study. They surveyed more than 25,000 people from 16 countries. And the authors of the study found that conservatives admit to far greater levels of personal happiness than liberals. And one explanation for that is that conservatives are more likely to basically do two interrelated things. They're more likely to be married on the one hand, and they're more likely to practice their religion seriously on the other. And these two dynamics are interconnected. Taking religion very seriously is key for a successful marriage. A number of studies have corroborated that, right? People who seriously practice a traditional religious faith, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, whatever, have a divorce rate markedly lower than the general population. It means the key factor making the most difference in a successful marriage really is religious commitment and practice. And what's also been demonstrated is marriage and religion tend to be associated with greater happiness. You'll love this. Even the ultra-liberal New York Times recognizes this. They found that 52% of married, religious, politically conservative people who have children are found to be very happy. But when it comes to single, secular, liberal people without kids, that happiness number drops to an abysmal 14%. 52% of religious married conservatives are happy. 14% of secular single liberals are happy. It's an astonishing discrepancy. In another study conducted by the Pew Research Center, they found that 37% of Republicans were very happy with their lives, while only 25% of Democrats felt the same way. In fact, Pew Research points out that ever since what's called the General Social Survey first began posing the question of personal happiness to Republicans and Democrats back in 1972, Republicans have always polled to be happier than Democrats every single solitary year. Again, the primary reason offered for such a happiness discrepancy between liberals and conservatives is that Republicans tend to be married with children and practice a traditional religion. They have meaning and purpose in life, while secular liberals are largely devoid of that. That's why they seem to be angry all the time. In fact, the studies are even more revealing here. That University of Southern California, University of Utah study, that combined study, actually found that the highest degrees of happiness were experienced by people who were, get this, socially conservative. In other words, happiness wasn't merely a trait of being religious, as it were, but for those who actually took seriously a distinctively conservative vision of social life, such as being pro-life, pro-traditional marriage, and pro-family values. There appears to be something very key here in terms of the conservative notion of order, particularly a sense of moral order in the world, in our lives. Brad Wilcox is the director of the National Marriage Project over at the University of Virginia. He observes that conservatives are more likely to have the sense that there is an order in their life, and a commitment to order gives people a sense of meaning and purpose. So all this is to say, well, liberals really are nuts. We always knew it, but now we got the studies to prove it. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my video on Ellen DeGeneres getting canceled. Another liberal icon has fallen You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.